Jiddu, I need to tell you a secret. I had an exam today and I cheated on the exam, and to be honest, I feel like it's eating me up inside as if it's haram.
Your father used to do the exact something and would always get in trouble. But you have done it now and cannot go back. I don't know if it is haram. Khair inshallah.
Thanks, Jiddu. Jiddu, I wanted to ask if it's halal to buy lottery tickets. They're so cheap and we could make a lot of money.
I don't know if it is halal or haram, but never think about something like that again.
Okay, I was just asking. Jiddu,
تعبتني, what do you want now?
I just wanted to ask if Sweet's beef gelatin is halal or haram.
You're supposed to check it before buying it, not after. I don't know if this is halal or haram.
Okay.
What now? I am trying to relax. Why do you keep asking me? تعال هنا الخاطر الله. Just go watch Ahkam SOS. Any question you have, they can answer you. You can call them, message them, anything. Ask as much as you like. They can answer any question from any marja, okay?
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome to Ahkam SOS, the show that discusses Islamic duties and practices. This is a live show. We're taking all of your questions, so if you have any question you'd like to ask, please send it in via the WhatsApp number on the bottom there. QR code should be in the corner. If you're watching on Facebook Live or you're watching on YouTube, put your questions in the comment section, and inshallah, the technical team will send them to me on my iPad here, and me and the Sheikh can discuss and answer your questions. If you'd like to call us into the studio, 0203 515 0199. And if you're outside the UK, just call the WhatsApp number on the bottom and you'll be put straight through to me and the Sheikh, and inshallah we'll be able to help you with your inquiry. I'm your host, Mohsin Shah, and joining me is Sheikh Ali Ma'ash. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh. Now.
Wa alaikum assalam.
How are we doing this evening, Sheikh?
Alhamdulillah, fine.
Fantastic. Let us begin with university and colleges, Sheikh. Now, as you are well aware, universities and colleges normally of mixed gender, and given specific lack of modesty on one hand and the need for high-level education for a young man on the other, what is the ruling concerning such education?
أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على محمد وآله الطاهرين ولعنة الله على أعدائهم أجمعين. There's no objection in terms of attending such institutions, place of, let's say, learnings and colleges or universities, as long as that individual observes the Islamic rulings. If it's a female, then she observes the hijab, for example, avoids banter and joking with the opposite gender, lustful and romantic relationships, for example, with the opposite gender. If one can actually preserve and observe their religious rulings, then there's no issue with it.
In regards to male and female interaction, Sheikhna, if you've got like a male, a non-mahram man and a woman, is it okay for them to look at each other's faces while they're having a conversation?
Yes, indeed, to the extent of without any lustful looking, for example, without, let's say, seeking pleasure or let's say, charm, riba, iftitan, and all these terms mentioned by the ulama with this regard. We have a hadith from Imam Sadiq alayhi salam. He says about the zakat of everything, the body organs, let's say, and parts, that what is the zakat? And zakat, of course, we pay on surplus, for example, if we have, let's say, cattle or let's say, types of, let's say, wheat and barley, we pay zakat if it reaches the threshold, let's say, 800 kilograms. So that's known as zakat, or even khumus, known to be some kind of meaning of zakat that you pay for the surplus. So zakat of the body is for the one to be able to avoid that act, which is extra than its limit. So the Imam says was فَزَكَاةُ الْعَيْنِ, he says then الْغَضُّ عَنِ الشَّهَوَاتِ. So the zakat of the eyes is to lower the gaze from looking lustfully at things, the opposite gender, for example. So we have to protect our eyes from the haram looking, only to be dealt with professional and respectful way with the opposite gender, because the haram looking will end to the acts of haram as a result, even if it doesn't lead to any haram. But that lustful look will place a black dot in one's heart, and that, let's say, white page of let's say, good a'mal turns into black page, la samahallah, of bad deeds and a'mal. So one should prevent from the acts of haram, even if it's just a 2 seconds look with the intention of lust.
Sheikh, we've got questions coming in from our viewers, inshallah. We'll go through some of them. From YouTube, what advice would you give a person who's just entering their 20s?
Very important questions, Ahsantum. Thank you very much. Number one, taqwa. Observe piety. Fear Allah Azza wa Jal in this crucial age. Number one, by practicing the wajib acts, from salah, from fasting, from whatever is being obliged to do as wajibat. Number two, to refrain from the muharramat and forbidden acts. Very important, especially if you go to college, university, as I've said now before. Don't look with lustful looking at the opposite gender, for example, banter, joking, in all types of what would lead to haram acts, and the result, one should prevent it. The second advice would be that learn your aqa'id very well. Tawheedullah Azza wa Jal,
Yes.
the prophethood, the Imam of Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam. Try to make sure that you have enough information that if you've been asked and debated, you can refute and answer those allegations or misconceptions, be able to reply to that non-Shia or non-Muslim. So yes, you need to read about the aqa'id and the beliefs, Islamic beliefs. These are the main advices, inshallah.
Fair.
And of course, the marriage would be the third. Try to get married as soon as possible,
Ahsant.
inshallah.
From WhatsApp, Assalamu alaikum, Sheikhna.
Salam.
How do I keep strong iman and love the Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam? And how can I not get affected by the community of the wrong people? It's a very common thing here in the West.
Again, very important question. He mentioned or she mentioned the wrong community. Try to engage yourself with the mu'min and believing and good community.
Yeah.
I think one of the reasons that made Nuh, the Prophet alayhi salam, his son, to not to board the ship with his father and other mu'mineen, the Quran mentions وَكَانَ فِي مَعَزَّلٍ. He was in isolation from his father and the mu'mineen. In other words, he was with the mushrikeen and non-believers. And that's what caused for him to depart Ahlul Haq and to leave and isolate himself from the good people, let's say. So, number one, you need to be with the good community, with the mu'min community, attend the majalis of Ahlul Bayt, the mosques, the jama'ah prayers. Number two, yes, isolate yourself from the bad friends, the bad community, the corrupt society, as another meaning. And number three, engage in reciting the dua. We have plenty of du'as. We have every day there's a dua for the day of Saturday, Sunday, and all the way to Friday. A page for each day. There's dua, and there's a ziyarah for each day as well, a page for each day. And of course, you have the dua al-kumail. Try to recite and read these ad'iyah, as well the ziyarat of Ahlul Bayt, زيارة عاشوراء, زيارة وارث, زيارة Aminullah, زيارة الجامعة. I think one will elevate themselves when they reach that stage of reciting these ad'iyah, attending the majalis of Ahlul Bayt, listening to the lectures, being with the good community, and to be friend with the mu'mineen. Of course, that would lead to the one to be on the right track, inshallah.
Inshallah. From YouTube, Assalamu alaikum, Sheikhna. Can I play sport in my college team that includes girls in it?
Again, no haram interaction with the opposite gender.
So no touching the skin.
Exactly. No banter.
Keep
no,
it professional.
Exactly.
However, Sheikhna, it can be difficult because females, when they wear their sports gear, sometimes they're in shorts, in t-shirts, sometimes there's a lot of skin showing. Maybe it's not appropriate for a man to be playing sport with the female.
What is important that you should not look intentionally, lustful looking. That's important because the same thing you can see in the street.
Yeah.
In the month of July and August.
In the parks and so forth.
In parks,
yeah.
in the streets, in the market, in the shops. So, what is the rule or the, as they say, the principle? Not to look intentionally with lustful looking,
Yeah.
or even just looking. You just want to look. Don't look intentionally to these scenes. That's haram.
More and more questions are coming in, Sheikh. From YouTube, I have a lot to learn and I don't know where to start. My knowledge is very minimal and I would like to know everything there is to know about Islam. Where do I start first? Understanding Islam, Sheikh. Now, for say someone who knows nothing about Islam, where would you tell them to start? Do we start with aqaid and theology on what Muslims believe? Do we start with history, the biography of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and what happened to the growth of Islam and so forth? Do we start off with Islamic law, fiqh, watching Ahkam SOS? Where should we start, Sheikh, when learning the religion?
Well, one can choose to start from what a fields he likes to start with. To choose the syllabus, for example.
Reading the Quran.
You can start with the Quran translation, reading if you're not an Arabic-speaking person, or reading tafsir of the Quran. You can start with the history of the the pre-Islamic era and after Islamic era. Islamic history. You can start with hadith, in Kitab al-Kafi, for example, Bihar al-Anwar, book by book, chapter by chapter, or let's say by reading the Islamic rules and practice of your marja', the Risala Amaliyah, from page 1, from Bab al-Tahara, for example, what is najis, what is pure, what is haram, what is halal, and so forth. So you have to choose, or you can pick a mix, a bit of this, a bit of this. That's what I do sometimes when I try to study and revise and read. I have a aqaid book, I have a, let's say, ahkam book, I have a history book, and give a portion of time each day for each book and for a couple of pages to recite and read.
That's From YouTube, Sheikh, is sleeping on your stomach bad for you spiritually, or is this just superstition?
No, it's mentioned that it's makruh and discouraged for the one to sleep on his
belly. Even Sheikh, sleeping on your left-hand side, scientifically they said the stomach acid, it goes into a certain direction and it's not good for the human body. You should be sleeping on your right, and that's where.
Or your back, for example.
Yeah, or your back. It's better for your stomach acid, and so forth. From YouTube, Sheikh, can I give vegetables to my dog so it can be vegan like me? Why would you want your dog to be vegan? But okay, Sheikh, can I feed my dog vegetables? There's nothing wrong with feeding it vegetables.
As long as it doesn't harm the animal, you don't actually torture the animal. In other words, by not giving him meat, for example, because it's a meat eater. This type of animals.
From YouTube, Assalamu alaikum, Sheikhna. I recently had a dream, and though I am aware that we should approach dreams interpretations with caution, this has stayed in my mind and I'm able to let go of it. In my dream, I stole something. Okay, we are not dream interpreters. I do apologize. Okay, inshallah, if you guys want to fund us, a course on how to become dream interpreters, me and Sheikh will go. We will learn the science of interpreting dreams, Islamic dreams. However, we're not dream interpreters. And Sheikhna, this person says, I stole something in my dream. What would you like to say to this person? Put it back.
No, it's, the dreams, even if you look at it like in a negative way, but actually sometimes reflects a positive way. For example, death in the dream doesn't mean that you're going to die. It's the opposite, yeah. So one should go back to the experts. We have experts, Islamic experts in dream interpretation. So one should go back to them and ask them.
Inshallah. Maybe we could get a show to do with dream interpreting. What's from YouTube? Assalamu alaikum, Sheikhna. Can we eat rabbit meat as there are a lot coming to our garden and the meat price is so high? Sheikhna, I do want to mention as well, in my local butcher shop, and it's a halal butcher shop owned by Muslims, they have rabbit meat there as well. They sell rabbit meat. Is it halal for the school of Ahlul Bayt to consume?
No, it's not permissible in the school of Ahlul Bayt alayhim as-salam. We cannot consume and eat rabbit meat. And we have a hadith as well. Yeah.
From WhatsApp, Assalamu alaikum, Sheikhna. How do I guide someone who may remove their hijab? Sheikhna, this is a very, very good question. We have seen in our community, in other communities, social media, online, influencers, celebrities, some of them putting the hijab on, some who wore the hijab have now taken it off, and so forth. What is our role and our duty? Because, like Rafiddin, there is no compulsion in religion. Furthermore, sometimes it's a cycle or it's a journey. The hijab came off, they went and they went on another journey spiritually and found God and found Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala again and found love for the hijab and put it back on and so forth. So, should we not let them take the hijab off and go on this journey, which eventually they come back to? Or, should we try and stop them from taking the hijab? What I want to say, Sheikhna, is at that time it's very, very sensitive. It's very, very volatile. Sometimes if we try and do something, we may push the person away from deen. And sometimes if we don't do anything, the person leaves the deen. So what do we do?
I was watching a documentary just 2 days ago on one of the English channels, and the one who was presenting the documentary, it was about actually landscapes of Scotland somehow. So he would travel to landscapes and valleys and basically countrysides and talk about the landscape of that region. And suddenly he approached a church in the middle of a countryside. And he went inside the church. There was a big picture of Sayyidah Maryam alayhi salam. And subhanAllah, she was wearing exactly the same scarf that our sisters wear in Islam. Full hijab. Yeah. Part of the face is shown. Imagine. So if Sayyidah Maryam alayhi salam, Mary alayhi salam, she used to wear this scarf and hijab, and they know it, that she used to wear it, and they have it in their churches. And eventually, century by century, they left the religion, in terms of practicing these issues and ahkam in their religion. Why should we, in which we have a great sharia in Islam, the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, a good exemplar and a role model, Sayyidah Khadija alayhi salam, Fatima alayhi salam, who are role models for the sisters, to ignore them and even ignore Sayyidah Maryam alayhi salam and copy and replicate those who have left the religion. It's a shame, I think. It's a shame that even in Christianity they have in their churches the picture of Sayyidah Maryam with hijab, full hijab, subhanallah. I think it's a shame. So one should go back with a strong aqidah and belief that this is the right path and the rest is wrong and the rest is batil, even against their own religious teachings. So one should basically go back to the right path and pursue and follow the right path. Otherwise, we're going to be in trouble on the first night of the qabr and grave.
But we, Sheikhna, as the brothers of the community, we might see a sister, we see she's struggling with her hijab. She comes to our university or I see her at work and stuff, and she's not wearing hijab anymore. Me, what do I do?
وَجَادِلْهُمْ بِالَّتِي أَحْسَنُ. Slowly, with a good friendship, with a good words and akhlaq, one can attract them towards the true teachings of Islam.
Inshallah. From WhatsApp, Assalamu alaikum, Sheikhna. Can you please clarify if it's permissible in Islamic law for my wife to swallow semen and whether it is considered impure najasa? Yes, it is considered najasa. It is 100% haram and not allowed. according to,
Ahsant.
I think, all maraja. I
Yes.
haven't heard of fatwa.
Yes, indeed.
That's different to that.
It's impurity, yeah.
Not allowed to be swallowed at all. From WhatsApp, in the West, many men have their lives destroyed by being accused of sexual misconduct without any proof. Is this acceptable in Islam? That is a really good question. And Sheikhna, the story of Nabi Yusuf and Zulayha comes to mind, where men have been accused of, sexual harassment and being indecent, or saying something indecent, or behaving indecent, and the man is innocent. So when it comes to Islam, how do we deal with this?
Yes, sadly, because the leading of, let's say, of the Muslim Ummah or even non-Muslim nation, those are in charge of the qada, as they say, it's not in the right hands. That's the problem. And that's why you see some of the ahkam which are implemented, it's not really adil and just hukum and rulings. So we have, for example, for the Islamic rulings, it has to be with the mujtahid, jama' al-shara'at, the one who has ijtihad, the one who has reached certain amount of knowledge and ability to extract the hukum from its sources, to be able to practice this qada and be able to bring all the witnesses and the shawahid to be able to judge. Otherwise, mushkila. That's why we see that the Quran says, وَمَنْ لَمْ يَحْكُمْ مَا أَنزَلَ اللَّهُ فَأُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الظَّالِمُونَ. Those who do not rule according to Allah's rulings, then they are oppressors.
From YouTube, Sheikh, assalamu alaikum. Can we eat lobster?
Lobster is one of those seafoods which are not permissible in Islam. And the ones which are permissible are the fish with scales. And prawns as one of the exceptions.
Scampi
as well.
prawns, yeah,
Yes,
they're allowed.
indeed.
Shrimp. From YouTube, assalamu alaikum, Sheikhna. There is a sports team that I would like to join, but I have been told that they sometimes train with the opposite gender or play against them in practice. What should I do?
What is important, as I said before, that you are not allowed to engage in haram mixed gathering. If there's haram, you have to avoid it. So if they invite you for, let's say, a birthday party, for example, your college or university, and you go to that birthday party and there's alcohol, there's a dance, music, of course you can't attend such haram gathering. You have to leave that place because of the alcohol, because of many issues. So if there's haram, you're not allowed to attend. If there's no haram, but you can avoid it. As I've said, it's like the streets in July and August, where you have people walking from both genders. There are women who are wearing indecent clothes, for example, but you try to avoid the looking. If you can avoid the haram, yes, you can. Otherwise, one should avoid such gatherings. Yeah.
From YouTube, assalamu alaikum, Sheikhna. Do I have to make up missed prayers, fast, and pay kafara for the period before I started praying consistently at the age of 13 if I became baligh at the age of 11 or 12? Okay, so this person is a 13-year-old. They became bulugh when they were 11, 12 years old. So let's say 11 years old, 2 years. They've missed a couple of prayers. They've missed fasts and so forth. Is there kafara they have to pay? Is this cover the qadha prayers, the qadha fast? Is it mandatory for them to repay?
For the salah, of course, you have to start, making them up later, one by one, slowly. So with each salah, you pray the qadha salah until you finish that 1 or 2 years period in which you haven't prayed. And likewise with the fasting, again, you fast those salah, fasts and siyam in which you've missed. For the kafara, of course, we have to see what the ulama say, because they would differentiate between the qasir and the muqassir, the one who's intentionally, and he knows the hukum, that breaking your fast would be haram and voids the fasting. And of course, there's a kafara of feeding 60 people, for example.
Mm-hmm.
So it depends really. Are you qasir or muqassir? That's another topic again.
From YouTube, assalamu alaikum, Sheikhna. I'm in my last year studying in law. Best of luck. Final year is always difficult, so our du'as are with you. Is there anything I should know before I start working? Sheikhna, I guess this is in general as well with anyone finishing university, going on to start their career. Any advice you have for them?
I think I would suggest that if he can study and read the Risala Amaliyya, the book of Ahkam,
Islamic law.
the marja you follow in terms of Bab al-Qada. I don't know if it's in these books. Bab al-Qada is actually in the mostly in the house studies they would study it. So if he is able to study partial house study in Bab al-Qada, then that would be a good idea for him.
I think with lawyers as well, there is a demand for, مثلا, how to write a will, an Islamic will, or Islamic inheritance, Islamic divorce, and
Exactly,
there's room for that. So if you are in law, maybe go to your local center, try and learn those chapters, so that the community can come to you when they want to write a will and when they want things to be portioned out equally. From YouTube, Assalamu alaikum, Sheikhna. When I was younger, I unfortunately had issues with prayer. I know I missed many. I do not have a count. What do I have to do to make it up? Sheikhna, this is a very, very repetitive question, but an important one. So we're always happy to answer this one. I have qadha prayers. I don't know how many. I can't give you an exact number. What do I do in that situation?
What they mentioned, the ulama, that you have to figure out what you're most certain about. Is it 3 years or 4 years, for example? Well, you're most certain is 3 years. So you pray, for example, qadha for 3 years, in which you've missed. So you pray them, as I've mentioned before, with each wajib salah, daily prayers, you would pray extra raka'at for the missed ones. So if it's morning prayer, then you pray 2 extra qadha of Fajr, and of course you observe and you pray the wajib current Fajr. So slowly you can pay back all these, inshallah, missed qadha.
Inshallah. Thank you very much, Sheikh. We're going to go to a short break now, and this is a perfect time for you guys to write down your questions and send them in via the WhatsApp or Facebook Live or on YouTube in the comment section. We'll see you after this short break.
I have a question regarding keeping pictures of
Is it
scholars
permissible
at
to
home.
plant trees by or
Was
over
Islam
the
established
graves?
based on peace
Is
and
it
non-violence?
permissible to collect donations for charity projects from
Is it permitted to
individuals?
consume canned food imported from non-Muslim
Is there
countries?
an issue for men looking at non-Muslim women?
To have your questions answered live, WhatsApp us on +44 7415 09 2155.
As lovers of the Ahlul Bayt, we all have an inclination to the epitome of love. When we rejoice, when times are hard, whatever stage of life we are in, we all yearn to be in one special place. We all wish to visit the blessed shrine of Imam Hussein in the holy city of Karbala. Not all of us have the blessing to visit the shrine of Imam Hussein, but there is still a way to experience the sights and sound of the blessed land of Karbala in the comfort of your own homes.
We call upon you, dear viewers, to support us in our financial costs to help bring the Holy Land of Karbala beaming into your homes. You can support us with a monthly donation of just $50 or £30. We are your gateway to Karbala. Assalamu alaikum and welcome to Imam Hussein TV 3.
Welcome back to Ahkam SOS, the show that discusses Islamic duties and practices. We have our phone lines open, the WhatsApp is busy, and you guys have been sending your questions. Thank you so much, but keep sending in your questions, because without your questions, we don't have a show. So if you have a question you'd like to ask on any topic whatsoever, we don't need to know your name, we don't need to know where you're asking from. totally anonymous. You can send in your questions via the WhatsApp. The number's on the bottom there, QR code in the corner. If you're watching on Facebook Live or you're watching on YouTube, put your questions in the comment section and we'll read them out here. Myself and the Sheikh will be able to discuss and answer all your questions. If you'd like to call us in, 0203 515 0199, if you're in the UK. And if you're not in the UK, call us on the WhatsApp number. We'll be more than happy to take your call and inshallah answer all of your queries. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikhna.
Assalamu alaikum.
Sheikhna, some questions we had from last week, previous episodes, and there was one in regards to a lady. She said that unfortunately she had a miscarriage. The fetus was only 15 weeks old. Do we need to perform a janazah, ghusl and so forth for this fetus?
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. There is no need for ghusl or salatul mayyit because there's no soul in this. It's just a fetus. Then, of course, they have to wrap it in a cloth and bury it.
I see.
And she will act like the one who is in her monthly cycle because of now she's miscarriage. So now she acts as somebody who was in the hayd. Yeah.
Fair. There was also another question from last week, Sheikh, in regards to the marhum who are not from the school of Ahlul Bayt and so forth. Are we allowed to go to their janazah? Are we allowed to pray Fatiha for these people, go to their graves and so forth?
Yes, you can attend the janazah and Fatiha, but when you meet him, you say al-baqa fi hayatikum, which means may Allah keep you alive or prolong your life. So
Inshallah.
that's the limit, yeah.
Okay, fair. From WhatsApp, Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh and Akhi. Alaikum salam. So it's nice when they acknowledge myself as well. Is our fate fixed in life because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is omniscient?
You see, Allah Azza wa Jal created the human being with a free will given to this mankind, that we choose our fate. So, Hur al-Riyahi, Ridwanullah alayh, who was with the Yazid army, he chose to be with Imam Hussein alayhi salam, and he joined his army and became a great ashab and a man to be remembered every year. Unlike Umar ibn Sa'd, who chose to be with Yazid's army and he was stubborn to kill the Imam alayhi salam and ignoring all the advice of the Imam and the sermons of the Imam. So he chose to be in hellfire. Hur chose to be in paradise, but Ibn Sa'd chose to be in hellfire. It's their and our choice.
Yes.
To choose paradise or to choose, na'udhu billah,
consequences of your actions.
It's my actions, exactly.
Ahsan, Sheikhna. From WhatsApp, Sheikhna, can I do mut'ah without intention of having sex? That's a really good question, Sheikhna. Platonic, they call it a platonic relationship, when you have a relationship with someone, opposite gender, but there's no physical attachment to that relationship. So a platonic mut'ah. Maybe I just want to do mut'ah with a lady so I can get to know her, so I can go out in public with her, maybe hold hands and so forth. But being intimate with her isn't on the menu. Is that acceptable? Is that okay?
Yes, it is allowed.
Fine. Yeah. From YouTube, Assalamu alaikum, Sheikhna. Is it true that you do not need permission of the father of a woman of the Ahlul Kitab, since the concept of mut'ah is not something they believe in?
Well, if the girl is virgin and it is in the custom of the Ahlul Kitab that she doesn't need to be asked for permission for the marriage, for example, then of course this is allowed. And if she's not virgin, of course she's got the right for herself to marry herself to anyone she likes. So the issue was to do with the virgin, that in their aqidah and belief, because in the Islamic belief you have to go and ask the father for the marriage, be it a long or short term, because she's virgin. So she can't marry herself unless she asks the permission of her father. But with the Ahlul Kitab, no, because they don't have this issue that she can walk out with a boyfriend, for example, in her teenage. So in this case, one can marry her because there's no such restrictions in terms of asking the father's permission with this regard.
From WhatsApp, Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh. Is it permissible to work in a food delivery in Australia if only chicken and pizza are delivered, not haram items like pork and alcohol?
Yes, you can, but it has to be delivered to the non-Muslims, so Christians and other religions.
So if I'm a Muslim and I'm bringing haram chicken, haram pizza to a Muslim's house.
Now, this is mushkil. You're feeding him haram
It's not
food.
allowed.
It's not allowed, yeah.
Wow. From WhatsApp, is it permissible for a developer to develop a website for a client who will sell revealing underwear and inappropriate clothes for women through the platform? It's just, I don't see an issue with it. But Sheikhna, online underwear shop, is there anything wrong with that?
You see, if one participates in propagating or spreading indecency, of course, that's an issue in which even the Quran mentions about in one of the verses that those who spread vice or.
But Sheikhna, this is not really vice. This is undergarments. You know, it might be a female that asked that I have. Is it okay if I have I have a shop, a business? I sell undergarments for females. Can I start doing it online?
But this could be seen by even males, for example. على كل حال, one should be very careful with these issues. That they shouldn't ولا تعاونوا على الإثم والعدوان, and do not participate in propagating or spreading ithm, sin and vice. So one should see their position. Sometimes it's a private site for only ladies, for example. Let's say private magazines, for example. I think we have in some countries, they have shops for ladies' clothing, but it's only entered by the females. So even the husband is not allowed to go and see with his wife and choose. So depends really.
From YouTube, Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh. Can you please explain and be clear about I don't know how to explain, like, okay. Can you please be clear about this issue? When we are offering our salah, we are offering it in the imama of Imam Mahdi. Please explain. Okay, when we pray salah, something along the lines of that, we are now in the time of Imam Zaman, Imam Mahdi. So do we have to, how do we incorporate that? Or do we need to incorporate that in our salah? When we, perform our salah, when we do the adhan, we always say, Ashhadu anna Ali waliyullah. Do we need to say, Ashhadu anna Mahdi Khalifatullah? In our taslim, we always say, Ashhadu la ilaha illallah wahdahu la sharika lah, wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluh. And then do we need to add in, that Ashhadu anna Mahdi Khalifatullah? That I believe he is my Imam, he's my Khalif, he is my Hujjah of Allah on earth. Do we need to mention this in our salah?
You see, many of the ulama would not allow to add anything extra inside the salah, including these terms mentioned. But some ulama, like Ayatollah Shirazi, would allow for the one to add this term in the salah in the tashahhud. After tashahhud, before Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa Muhammad, you say wa anna aliyan ni'mal wali. That's it. You can add this much. So to add the extra things, you have to ask the ulama with this regard, especially who you follow, for example. Some even would not allow to add this even term, that there's an extra added words in the salah. So one should go back to his marji' and alim to see if they actually allow you to add any extra terms or sentences in the salah.
Okay, from YouTube. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikhna. I am scared of my akhirah, Sayyid. Looking back, I noticed that I was the biggest hypocrite and I feel stuck on how to make up for it all. I guess, Sheikhna, repentance is one of the biggest forms of having your sins wiped away and so forth. And learning from your mistakes, not repeating it. Is there anything else you could add to that?
One of my teachers used to say that Allah has provided different eraser tools, in other words. So he would mention وَيَعْفُ عَنْ كَثِيرٍ, and he would forgive a lot of sins in the Holy Quran. For example, Arhamur Rahimin, for example. All these Allah's attributes given and features that Allah would forgive the sins, but you have to come forward and repent honestly and sincerely that I will never ever do this again. If you come forward, Allah would, of course, open the doors for you and tawfiq, and maybe you would be one of the ulama even.
Okay, Sheikhna, we've got about 10 minutes left. and I've got a lot of questions, so we need to go as quick as we can, inshallah, to help all our viewers. From YouTube, Assalamu alaikum, Sheikhna. The Shia wash their feet during wudu, or does it become invalid if they do so?
The Quran is very clear, and it's in Arabic and clear Arabic. فَغْسِلُوا وُجُوهَكُمْ وَأَيْدِيَكُمْ. Wash face and hands, the both arms. وَامْسَحُوا برؤوسكم وأرجلكم. Wipe. مسح, غسل. You see, the non-Shias mix the whole thing and just mention that you have to wash everything. But masih is not wash. You can't wash your head. You can't wash your feet. The Quran says وَامْسَحُوا, مسح. And you can't go back to, أرجلكم and برؤوسكم. You go back to the wash. Because sometimes they say you have to go back to the previous command, فَغْسِلُوا. But فَغْسِلُوا وجه واليد, finish. وَامْسَحُوا رأس and قدم. So you can't really mix things together in this way. Quran is very clear. It's Arabic. Mubin, clear. So you have wash and you have masah. Two different actions.
Okay, Sheikhna, we've got to be quick with these ones. Can we throw away papers that have Quranic verses or Allah's name on them on the floor? Or put them on the floor?
I mean, if they cause breach of sanctity, of course, it's not permissible. Maybe recycling is the best way.
Easy.
Yeah, exactly.
From YouTube, Assalamu alaikum, Sheikhna. I have a non-Muslim father and he wants me to inherit his wealth after he dies. Can I inherit him? And if not, what do I do with the money he leaves behind? Are you allowed to inherit from your parents even though they are not a Muslim?
It seems to be you're allowed, but the best thing is to go back to your alim because you have to find exactly how it works.
The calculation is...
Because the calculation is very specific because you don't want to take the
calculation
of your sister's siblings.
The calculation has to be from the Islamic calculation. But yes, you are allowed your inheritance and what is due to you. From YouTube, what miracles did the Holy Prophet perform in his lifetime? MashaAllah, many miracles.
One of the ulama wrote a book about 4,000 miracles he recorded of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
Wow. And
I think Madinat Ma'ajiz maybe.
He's also got physical miracles. The book Haqq al-Yaqeen, I'm not sure. I think it's Allama Majlisi's one, not Sheikh Saduq's version. It has it in there. From WhatsApp, can I do mut'ah with a girl that has a boyfriend? You are looking for trouble, my friend. Sheikhna, can I do mut'ah with a girl that is already involved in a relationship with somebody else?
To be honest, one should find the right person to be able to perform the contract marriage, be it short or long term, so they don't fall into the trouble of, for example, issues with the other side. So find the right person.
If you're old enough to do mut'ah, you're old enough to get married. So start looking for a wife. From YouTube, my teenage son in school is forced to play with girls and sometimes the activities include physical contact. What do I do? Sheikhna, this is common, but it's with young kids. It's not with teenagers. Children between the age of 5 to 11, 12. Not even 11, 12, 5 to 10. Because they're young and they're encouraged to, accept one another for who they are and whatever background they have and so forth. So, a 6-year-old boy playing with a 6-year-old girl, is there any issue in that?
You see, they don't have taklif shar'i in terms of prayers, daily prayers, fasting, and so forth. But one should, from now on, try to teach them, to speak to them that be careful, don't do this, don't do that. For example, don't use foul and bad language, for example. We have to nurture and teach them the Islamic rulings, slowly, the akhlaq of Islam, so that when they reach the age of teenagers and adolescents, they have strong aqidah and iman and taqwa.
Okay, Sheikhna, we've got a lot of questions and we've got about 5 minutes left. So, inshallah, as quick as you can. Does praying 2 rak'ah when leaving and returning home protect us from evil?
In overall, it depends if there is a hadith mentioned or in the books of ad'iyah by ulama mentions, then we do so. Otherwise, we have lots of du'as before leaving home, what to say, let's say on your way, for example, to repel the evil. We have lots of ad'iyah, mashallah.
Should a follower in prayer stop his recitation or dhikr when the Imam goes into the next part of the prayer? Really good question. So for example, Sheikh, I'm praying Jama'ah, I'm behind the Imam, I'm still reciting my second surah, the Imam's going to ruku. Should I stop and go into ruku, or should I complete my surah and then go into ruku?
Well, to catch with the Imam in his ruku', you can abandon the surah, not the hamd.
Yeah.
The second surah, that let's say Surah Al-Kawthar.
Yeah.
You want to recite it, and you suddenly see the Imam is in his ruku' and he's going to raise from the ruku'.
Yeah.
So you just ignore the surah, the short surah, and join, because you don't lose the jama'ah.
From YouTube, Assalamu alaikum, Sheikhna. Is it permissible to wear trousers that go below your ankles? Don't see any issue with that.
For the males.
Yeah, for the males, there's no issue. Females, yes, it's problematic. They can't be showing their ankles. However, for the male, if it goes past the ankle, there's no problem. If it's below before the ankle, there's no problem. But I know the Wahhabi school are very staunch that it should be high up. From YouTube, Sheikhna, Assalamu alaikum. For someone who has stopped doing the bad habit after research, it says that there must be a ghusl. Is that true?
After what, sorry?
Doing the bad habit, masturbation. So they've stopped this, but is there a ghusl that they have to perform?
If there's ejaculation, definitely. This is janaba, and he needs to do ghusl janaba as a result.
Okay, from YouTube, Assalamu alaikum, Sheikhna. I'm starting a business in the EU, getting a loan from the EU bank. When I borrow money, there will be an interest that is obligatory for me to pay. Is this permissible?
As I've said before, that ulama would allow for such loans to be taken out when somebody is compelled and he is in need of it. So, and then he pays interest. Now, some would say with the intention of paying as a gift and so forth. But as I've said, what they say that if somebody is compelled, then they can actually take this loan out.
Sheikhna, Assalamu alaikum. What do Shia believe about Dajjal? Good question.
I think we need more time to explain.
No, inshallah, next week. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikhna. Why did Allah create the disbelievers if they are going to hell anyway?
As I've said before, we have been given as mankind the choice, the free choice, to be in the good side or the bad side, to be in hell, na'udhu billah, or paradise. It's our choice to be in which side.
Sheikh, I heard even before we came to earth, we got to choose our parents and we got to choose what community and what nationality. We got to choose this way before.
No, I think what is mentioned is in the alam al-dar, when Allah Azza wa Jal asks the humanity, from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam to the last person to be born just before the day of Qiyamah, that alastu bi rabbikum qalu bala, and the first one who said bala was Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But those who said bala and they went against their confirmation and affirmation to Allah Azza wa Jal, of course they deviated from the right haqq, because they affirmed that we accept that you're the Lord, the Creator, but now they went against Him, as we see with nations today, how they go against Allah Azza wa Jal.
From YouTube, Assalamu alaikum, Sheikhna. Is Jum'ah prayers wajib? Recently I heard someone say that it's in the absence of the Imam and it is not wajib. What
do the ulama say? That it is wajib takhyiri, means a wajib in which you have two choices. You either pray the Jum'ah prayer with the Imam, with the two sermons you attend and you listen, or you pray Salat al-Dhuhr. So they're both wajib. If you do one, the other would be waived. So it's wajib but takhyiri. So you have the choice of Dhuhr or Jum'ah.
From YouTube, Assalamu alaikum, Sheikhna. Can men and women be friends in heaven, or is it still prohibited? If so, would women still be required to wear hijab in heaven?
You see, in heaven, the hukum would be completely different.
It's very different.
Alam al-dunya is the alam of the imtihan and testing. Alam al-akhirah, paradise, heaven, is the alam and the world of rewards. Allah would give you rewards. So there wouldn't be any more wajib salah or siyam or that hardship you have to take. No, things will be different. It's a reward world. You'll be rewarded for what you did in this dunya.
From WhatsApp, Assalamu alaikum, Sheikhna. Please provide me with detailed narrations from the Ahlul Bayt that Surah Waqiyah is suggested for rizq. Surah Waqiyah to bring rizq, Sheikhna, to increase rizq. Is there any hadith on this? Is there any?
It's mentioned that if you pray Surah Al-Waqi'ah in your Salat Al-Wafayla, in the 2 rak'ah sitting after Isha, that would bring the rizq, inshallah.
Okay.
I have to see what the source is, but I have I've heard about this.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikhna, from WhatsApp. My husband was unwell for a long period, and alhamdulillah, he is well now. But now I always have a negative waswasa in my mind about him. So how do I get rid of the waswasa? This is an insecurity you have, darling. Your husband was unwell for a long time, and now you have waswas about him. It's probably just out of habit. You've been there for a long time. You might need to see a doctor or something. What do you think, Sheikh?
Yes, indeed. One sometimes needs to see a psychiatric, for example. Somebody who deals with mental disease and disorders, for example.
This is not shaitan in your ear. This is you. You know what I mean? And something you have to deal with. From WhatsApp, Assalamu alaikum, Sheikhna. How does one do mut'ah with a Sunni who is a virgin and her parents are divorced? Her father isn't really around and hasn't been for some time, and her grandfathers have passed away. Whose approval would I need to seek?
Again, the father. Because even a Sunni,
he's not around, he's hard to get hold of.
I mean, you have to seek your alims or your marja representative permission to see what can be done. Can the faqih give the ijaza? Which is a bit difficult when it comes to the virgin.
Two more questions left and then we can end the show. From YouTube, Assalamu alaikum, Sheikhna. What is the ruling for transgenders? People who are born biological as one gender but psychologically feel like they are another gender in Shia Islam. Sheikhna, I don't think Shia Islam recognizes transgenders. Do we believe that you can be born into a male body or female body and psychologically feel the opposite gender? Can you be a female trapped in a man's body? Can you be a male trapped in a female's body? Do we recognize this?
I think they have to see a psychiatric.
Yeah. Fair. And final question, Sheikhna. If you can, Assalamu alaikum. What is the opinion of Sayyid Sistani on Walayat al-Faqih, and what is your view about that? Is there a walaya to a marja?
You see, each marja has a limited walaya. Walaya means the authority. So in terms of divorce, a lady who is in trouble, the husband doesn't want to divorce her and he's oppressing her. Now she wants to divorce. She goes to the marja. Marja has a walaya in terms of divorcing this lady from this husband who is oppressing her, for example. And other issues, khumus issues, this limited wilaya, every marja has a limited wilaya, and not the wilaya mutlaqa, the ultimate or the infinite wilaya.
Yeah.
Only that's for the Ma'asum alayhi salam.
Thank you very much, Sheikh. And thank you to all the viewers for joining us on this episode of Ahkam SOS. If we didn't answer your question, I do apologize. We had so many questions coming in, and it is very, very important that you join us, as early as you can. We are on 7 p.m. Monday and Wednesday. If you guys can come on at 6:55, 7 o'clock on the dot, as soon as we start the show, if you can start sending in your questions, then we have more than enough time to go through all of the questions, and then we don't have to rush towards the end. But thank you so much for participating and joining us on this episode. Inshallah, myself and the Sheikh will be back on Wednesday, 7 p.m. here on Imam Hussein TV3. If you have a question you'd like to ask, please send it in via the WhatsApp or send it in via the Facebook Live or the YouTube comment section. And inshallah, myself and the Sheikh will be able to answer your questions in the following episode. Take care and see you then. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh.
Jiddu, I need to tell you a secret. I had an exam today and I cheated on the exam, and to be honest, I feel like it's eating me up inside as if it's haram.